Hey everybody, it is LCID932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be a weekly live, weekly roundup. Um, Married at First Sight Australia. We gotta love it. We love Married at First Sight US, UK. Australia does it a little bit different. They give us episodes back to back to back to back. And though I would love to do individual episode recaps, that just ain't in my color wheel right now. I'm just too busy. So, what I am going to do and promise you is to do lives each week so we can cover the week. Because there's a lot to cover. There are a lot of couples and there's a lot of drama. But I cannot do this alone. You always need a team. And where I started is exactly who's going to be joining me. I have Little Black Book 91. Hey, Kojo.
Hey man, how you doing? You alright?
Trying to hang in there. Trying to
That's
hang in
right.
there for Married at First Sight.
We hanging in there. Listen, I literally just finished the episode 5 just now, and I said, how many couples are there? There's so many. But you know what? I got my notes ready, so I'm not phased. I'm ready to have a good conversation today. So yeah, look forward to it, man.
Awesome. There are a ton of couples. There are a ton of
Mm-hmm.
weddings. There are 4 episodes this week and 2 couples each wedding. Y'all, we tied.
Wait, is
We
it only
just
four? Is there
started.
4 episodes?
It
I thought
was
it was 5.
it wasn't fun. Yeah, you know what? You saw the people talking and so forth. What is happening is there's a new episode right now. That's what you saw. Sunday's episode that's now premiering in Australia. So you saw 5.
Oh damn. Okay.
I don't have access to 5 just yet, but I am okay. We can do all 5. We're fine.
Wait. So wait. Okay. Wait. So you didn't see the wedding for Tony, the older guy? You haven't seen his wedding?
No, that has not
Oh
been
wow.
released to me yet.
Okay, no worries. Okay,
The
cool. I'll
big
keep it.
Greek wedding? No. No, no, no.
Uh,
That has not
well,
been released.
I'll keep my notes the
But
same.
keep it all the same. I know they're coming. I know I had slides for them, but I know they're coming. But let's
Okay.
start how Australia started. We of course have the experts who provide their science. And I think it's just drama science right about now. But let me add my presentation. So our first bride and groom was Karina and Paul. What were your thoughts about Karina and Paul?
Yeah, shout out to Karina and Paul. I mean, listen, obviously their situation is quite unique because they had already met before, right? And unfortunately, he ghosted her. And I guess the question obviously begs that should you give somebody else another chance when you know they when they've ghosted you or when you've ghosted them? Do you give them another chance? And I think in this instance, you know, I think it was. I'm glad it actually did. He took a lot of accountability in terms of just the actions that he took. I was actually very proud of him because some men would have never done this, you know, and some women would have never done this either. After ghosting you and then going to speak to their parents and explain that he did do those things, but he was in a not a great place. It did show that he had done some work, and I really hope he can push through and be consistent all the way through the next few episodes as well. That we see him and Karina getting together. So I look forward to seeing what's going to happen.
You are ever so eloquent. I I'm thinking, what were you going through? Were you just dating too many people at the same time? What were you going through? Was it difficulty in the family? Because for me, it's like, dude, I haven't heard what the difficult situation you were going through. Were you switching jobs? I don't know a specific. So yes, I do believe MAFS, and we'll get to it. There is, another couple in a similar situation. I think when people kind of fizzle out in dating, that this Married at First Sight may allow them to see the person in a new light. It may allow them to date them differently. Maybe they didn't think the person was ready for marriage at the time, and here we are in MAFS, abiding by the NDA and not telling anyone we know that we're going to MAFS. But I'm not sold on Paul quite yet. Everybody likes his French accent, but I need to know what trouble did Paul really have at the time why he, allowed himself to ghost her and kind of fizzle out.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, he did say that he was having some, it was kind of, I guess, some emotional issues at the point in time. He wasn't ready for a relationship. Let's just be honest, what it was. And to be fair, the family was like, she's not also really ready for that either at the time and point. So to be fair, I think that, these two, both of them were having issues at the time, and I think they just weren't ready for the relationship, because when you want to commit to something, you don't want to come out of it so quickly, so and quit it. So I mean, yes, we don't know the full extent of what was actually the issue in that regard, but I think we can read between the lines, isn't it? Right? He just wasn't ready for a relationship. This is the honest truth. Yeah, he wasn't ready for a relationship, and it's not like, even though he ghosted her, there was no damage within the relationship itself at the time in terms of maybe the connection that they actually had. So yeah, no, I can understand that, so I'll give him some grace.
Okay, so you'll give him grace. He went out with his best buds rather than go out with her. Okay.
When was this?
That's what he said. The excuse he gave her why he canceled their date.
Oh yeah,
his roommates were taking him out. So I'm just saying it's his best buds, taking him out.
Yeah, he's a bad liar.
We have a few of those on these reality shows. But I will give him the benefit. The only thing with Karina, I wonder if her parents' steady marriage is going to have her kind of wanting this so much that she's going to overlook certain red flags. She keeps saying how her parents have been married for 30 something odd years. She made her dress to look exactly like her mother's. For me, I think Karina may overlook something. She did hold him accountable for ghosting her, but I'm wondering if she wants it so much that she will, do almost anything for this wedding, for this marriage. But they were our first couple, y'all. I was worried for Paul. I really was worried for Paul, but I'm glad she has an open mind. So we could slide over to our next couple, Lauren and Elliot. What were your thoughts?
Listen, there's two people I hate on this show, and to be honest, you haven't seen the second one yet. But the first person, this one here, I shouldn't say hate. Hate's a very strong word. I was a Christian, we can't say that. But people that I dislike as a character, and Elliot's one of those people. One, because first and foremost, all right, whilst I do believe he's an amazingly good-looking man, he is. Okay, all right. But the problem I have with him is he's arrogant. Even when amongst the men, when he was talking with them, and he was right in doing so. By the way, he was right when he called out old boy and his Tim, and the fact that he was the way he was absolutely right to call him out. But it's how you do something, and it was interesting because they put two people who are very similar next to each other. And I think what Elliot missed is the fact that he needs to have a look in the mirror, not because of how you look, but how you actually show up. This is somebody, because both of them are very critical. And in fact, she met somebody who was just as critical as her, and she ended up losing. So, unfortunately, the experts put two people who are very similar to like, and this is why Married at First Sight Australia is very unique, because they can change partners. But it's like here we see with Elliot that he met somebody who was equally as critical, as verbal, as I don't like this, I don't like that. And it's like almost like he realized in that immediate moment, damn, I don't like you. And then he just started going after everything. She's older than me, which again, I do understand that perspective as well. I just think first and foremost, he wasn't attracted to her. If I'm really honest with you, I honestly think that as well as other him being, that's his character, I also think he wasn't attracted to her. I think that fact that she did not have necessarily the look that he necessarily wanted. I think she doesn't look as youthful as he would have liked to have gone for. I mean, because judging by how good looking he is, I could see how he can pull a 25-year-old easy. You know what I mean? Like, he's got that look that the 25-year-old range would be like, oh, I like that kind of man. So I can understand, right? But he just needs to know how to, number one, address issues. Because it doesn't matter who you're with, that's always going to be an issue, right? That 25-year-old will get to 30 and she'll realize you're a douche. So it doesn't stop you learning some of those critical lessons when you're in a relationship. And I just think to myself that the arrogance is so heavy that he thought he knew better than the experts. Well, by the way, I mean, the experts aren't great either. But I'm saying that the fact that you came onto a show to give up your right to choose, right? Because clearly you're not struggling with women. This is my biggest issue. you can't keep a relationship, because really and truly, the outer shell that we're seeing is amazing. When people get a hold of you, I'm assuming they can't stick with you, and you can't stick with them. So that tells us you got a bigger issue. It's an internal one. And I think we saw that when he explained his background about how he grew up, a very critical home. I mean, he's got the background that would easily lead someone to be a narcissist. I'm just going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you hear a narcissist story, he's got that kind of story. Like, it's not like the parents were absolutely crazy, but it's like enough of that criticism and that critical, judgmental background that you're like, oh, I can see why you turned into that. And you're afraid of, you know, really being able to open yourself up and being vulnerable with someone, and precisely why you keep choosing young girls. And in fact, it was in episode 4, I think, when they were sitting down having dinner, she mentioned it, right, about what kind of age you wanted, and he was basically saying 20s, and it's just the fact that he didn't actually really specify. He kind of said 20s, and I'm looking at him like, bro, she's basically telling you that you want these young gal, the ones that are not smart at all, and he agreed with her. And I said, at that point, I realized, yeah, you're somebody who actually hasn't matured, because really and truly, what would you want to be doing with someone who's like 21, 22? It's because of power, and you're afraid that the person would outdo you, out hurt you. And I said, it doesn't matter what age they are, because by the time they get to 30, they're going to know their mind. They're going to know their own. They're going to, well, I hope so anyway, because, you know, some people don't, you know what I'm saying to you. Look at Tubaba and India from Young and Famous. But, you know, a lot of people will mature and get to a place where they're like, you're not that guy anymore. So yeah, that was just my thoughts of it. I just liked him a little bit.
For Lauren, she taught me, I guess, the phrase trad wife, which is short for traditional wife. He's not going to get that with a 20-something year old. You know, a lot of 20-something year olds is not going to give him the space where, as he said, he wants to come home, put his hat up, have the kids come say hello, and the wife take care of everything in the household, and he shouldn't have to lift a finger. 20-something year old is not going to allow you to come home and stay home, first of all. So what he's looking for and what he needs, of course, are two different things. If he'd found it, he wouldn't be on the show, quite frankly. If he had a 20-something year old and the market was that open to him, he wouldn't be on the show. Now, what stuck out for me at the wedding at first was he only had 3 people there. He only had his mom, I believe it was his sister, and his best man. That was it. And I'm like, dude, where is your circle? I mean, is it that the family or friends are not around? Where is your circle? Everybody had at least 5 to 8 people. So I kind of side-eye him on that. But Elliot wants a certain person, and the rigid part of his thinking is he's not even going to give her an opportunity. He's not even going to give her an opportunity to show what parts of her personality made them pair him with her. Even at the hen's night, I will agree, the ladies were like, wait a minute, you're the oldest lady here. They ratted on Lauren about her age at the hen's night. And Lauren kind of threw it to the side, but I think when he mentioned it, or when he's talking about the 20-somethings, I think it kind of rubbed her the wrong way. But Lauren was very, very nice the way she took the rejection from him. She was very calm. You know, I almost wanted to see her at least tell him off just a little bit. Tell him just, you know, well, get your behind out of here just a little bit. But she keeping up with that traditional wife stance that she is not going to get out of character, and she's going to behave herself, and she will stay at the house while he runs away. But yeah, I don't even know if they're coming back to do any scenes together. Is he gone? Because we've seen this before. In the US, you used to be able to leave on the honeymoon. Now you can't anymore. But Australia is a bit different. But he's saying that she needs an older groom. And she's like, you need a younger bride. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he started obviously, you know, the fight was also around whether she wanted luxury and he didn't want luxury. She was concerned about that lifestyle, and it sounded a bit like just excuses, to be honest. At that point, I was a bit like, yeah, you're making a lot of excuses here, Elliot. And you know, I think for him, you know, he kept on saying he wanted a 1950s style love, but she was a 1950s style love. She was actually wanting to be very traditional. She wanted to serve her husband. She wanted to be the one that cooked. She said, get out of the kitchen, everything like that. And I was like, so what took you out, Elliot? What really took you out? Well, I think what took him out was the fact that she probably is a little bit more mature, not necessarily age, but mature, meaning he does not have the ability to manipulate. And I think a lot. See, whenever you stay single for a long time, and maybe you're slaying women a lot of times, a lot of it involves manipulation. Whether you do it on purpose, whether you're doing it by unconsciously, there is some level of manipulation. Or at least let me say this: there's a power dynamic between you and the person. And usually, if you're slaying a lot of people, that power dynamic normally exists. But when when you get into a relationship and you're trying to make it work, there has to be a shift of that power dynamic. You have to kind of give up power. And so I saw that, okay, this is the person you wanted. You wanted a trad wife. You wanted somebody who wanted to serve you. You wanted all those things. So, we didn't hear him say he wasn't attracted. So I don't think it's not necessarily he wasn't fully attracted. I think he wasn't all the way attracted, but I don't think he was not necessarily turned off completely, because he never really made that full kind of comment. And I was expecting him to be able to say, like, you're not even my type. And so at all, he kind of mentioned more of her age, and that told me everything to know. You have an issue when it comes to people being able to say no to you, and have an issue probably with them saying, I have my own life, and you want it to revolve around you as a son. And that is what you will get with a 20-year-old, a 25-year-old who's still young, because they're centering you because they don't know any better. And so I was looking at it, and that's why I was a bit concerned by him.
Well, we did see what a 20-something-year-old would do at the wedding, because her sister is younger than her. Her sister Tamara is younger than her, and
Man,
she was using that title. I'm the sister of the bride. You don't have my meal. She was going off and trying to get his attention. I'm glad he said he didn't like that kind of behavior. That was kind of startling for him. But that's the 20-something-year-old. That's what you may get, Elliot, if you're looking for this. But her business is luxury, and I think that is the problem. Her business is luxury concierge. So not only does she have a successful business, it's successful in luxury. So he definitely can't keep up, and he definitely can't outpace her, in my thoughts. And that's why he kind of like, yeah, I cannot keep up with her. Any other thoughts on Lauren or Elliot? Well, we can move on to the next couple. Okay, next couple. Jamie and Dave. Dave is the gentle giant, and Jamie is our, how can I say it, the fun-loving young lady. I enjoyed their wedding. I really enjoyed their wedding. I love the banter she has with her parents when she walked in and said, oh my God, she's got the tattoos. Go sit down, Dad. I'm happy. She was just very, very open. One thing I will be concerned about is she is firing off a whole lot of questions at him, a whole lot of interview-like questions. He doesn't seem like it's pushing him away, but he is taking his time. And the minute he takes a breath, here comes another question. But he is going through some difficulties. His dad is sick, so that's why his family was not able to be there. His dad and his stepmom. But I have encouraging thoughts for them. But whenever that happens, it's usually a train wreck. What are your thoughts on Jamie and Dave?
Yeah, listen, I you know what? Yeah, you're right. She's a kind of like that anxious type, right? That has so much to say in a short space of time. And I think it will get great eventually. It will grate him down. I know he's a bit patient. He wants to be loving. He wants to be caring. I think it just requires a conversation. You know what I mean? It shouldn't go into a massive thing. If he lets it go on too long, it will turn into a massive thing, because you'll probably end up cussing her out. He's just nip it in the bud early. Say, hey, look, ask me 2 or 3 questions. Ask me a question. Ask me one question and let me answer, and let it rest a little bit and let it breathe. But you asking me 3 or 4 questions back to back, it's great. I understand you're excited, but it just feels a little bit like I'm in an interview. And even an interview doesn't ask me 3 to 4 questions that quickly back to back. So it just give me a time to be able to respond, so I can get to also be able to ask you questions as well. I mean, it could be the case, of course, she might be a little bit nervous. She might have been a little bit, obviously, she's also maybe a little bit scared that she'll end up losing the person. So she's always asking questions. So it's not a thing where it's like a red flag. It's more of a case of, we need to just address this quickly so that it actually can make it work. Because I actually see them two actually working. I don't see any real kind of red flags per se in terms of the way they interacted or things in their background. I'm even looking at my notes real quick as well. But yeah, they seemed really, 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 really cool. I liked the energy. He was excited at first, but I said obviously it will obviously You're great. Now, the only thing that I said was when she said, and I hope that, I've now started realizing that women tend to say idealizations rather than realisms. So sometimes they say the most idealistic person they want, but who they actually settle for is more their realism. So sometimes when they're saying things, it's not always the case. But what I heard when she said she wanted a David Beckham, she wanted the nice guy with the bad boy attitude, with the tattoos and stuff. He does fit that frame in terms of physicality, but I don't know if he has that oomph. And she may have want that oomph because she's trying to go. I don't know if she's annoyed at her dad for being a prayer warrior or what, but it seems like she don't want the choir boy. She want the bad boy at the back of the church. Okay, she wants the person that says, "I love God, but I love having sex." Like, you know what I'm saying? She just wants that kind of bad boy that's going to make her do some stuff. So I wonder if he has that, and I wonder how much weight she puts on that as well. So that was something I just noticed a little bit as well.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I found for her to kind of calm her down when he did share what his dad is going through in his toast and speech, she was there to comfort him. She was able to calm herself all the way down and just be there for him and hug him and talk with him through that. And I think if she continues to kind of measure herself to what he is exemplifying, I think they definitely have a great chance to succeed. He allows her to be her spunky self. He is just watching at her adoringly in my mind, and she's just all over. And he is like the steadfast person that she can kind of anchor herself to. I do see them working potentially based on what we see now and the little bit we see from the honeymoon, but again, it can grate your nerves. It can be a little too much, especially if he's the type of person that does go within when he needs some time. If he needs some space and some quiet, how is that going to reflect to her? Some space and some quiet could feel like rejection to her, and they got to play it by ear. They really do. But I do have high hopes for these two. But yeah, he may have a little bite to him now. He may have. He can't show us everything. He can't he can't show us everything right away. But hey, he's taking all that pain for all them tattoos. He got a little bite in him. I'm sorry. So next couple, ooh, Tim and Katie. Let me tackle this one first. As a member of the plus size coalition, okay? Katie, I need to know, other than the swimsuit incident, what happened in life. Katie is a beautiful woman, but can't see it. Can't see it. She is beautiful inside and out. Her entire mission is helping people. Her entire business is helping people do better and be better. She's helping other people see the greatness within. Yet Katie isn't seeing it. And there's a disconnect there. And I'm wondering, where did that come from? Her parents are together. Her parents have a wonderful marriage. She wants the wonderful marriage they have. Her dad is affirming her, and we hear that. So I'm wondering exactly where does this come from? Now, Tim, like you always say, Kojo, the self-professed nice guy? Yeah. How nice are you? How nice are you being perceived? Because if you were here on MAFS, you're not that nice because you're not keeping a relationship. I'm sorry, you're not that nice. So Tim here at their wedding, I knew it was a wrap when they kissed and he wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. I knew that was it. There was no coming back. I don't know how Tim convinced her after the fact to still go on the honeymoon, but I am glad that Katie caught him recoiling when she went to hug him and she confronted him with it. Even though it is a hard truth, she needed that truth as to how he really feels. And Tim, how you told her you feel, I don't think it was very gracious based on Katie's response. But I'm thinking it doesn't take much. It didn't take much wearing the wedding dresses for Katie to kind of feel an issue. She was feeling less than or unworthy just trying on wedding dresses. So this made me think that something with Katie and her image of herself is very deep seated. Very deep seated. What are your thoughts on Tim and Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously something has definitely happened, and maybe she's just a little bit jaded from being consistently rejected. You know what I would say? I think, um, I need to be careful how I say this. You know what it is? I would say this. She's one of the people that doesn't carry weight well. Let me say this. What I mean by this, she's not accepted it. Some people, when they carry weight, they're like, "This is me. I'm this, and I love it." So their confidence just bursts through. It doesn't matter how you feel about them; they're beautiful because they carry themselves in that way. I feel like she has almost like dysmorphia. It's almost like when she sees herself, she doesn't see the beauty. So at that point, she's not carrying the weight well. What that means is that she's not bringing that beauty through. So I think it makes it harder for people to also see that in her because she doesn't carry that. You know what I'm saying too? So when I see her also interacting in with Tim, first and foremost, Tim doesn't want her. That's cool. It's not an indication about her. It's just an indication that he doesn't like her. You know what I'm saying to you? He's got a type and it's just not her. So I feel like for her, maybe there is, because I always say it's like, depending on what you feel most confident in. If you don't feel confident in the way that you are, maybe there's something you need to change because you don't feel confident in it. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's not about me, it's about you. You don't feel confident. And we want you to be your most confident person because you're naturally reading rejection. And I'm not saying he didn't reject her, he rejected her. I'm just saying that you almost are anticipating it. So at that point, yeah, there might be some underneath work that we need to start doing in order to bring your confidence to that level. Because if you go into that space with that confidence, I'm not saying that necessarily he's going to be the one that's going to want you, right? But it's almost like it's waters off a duck's back. And I'm not saying rejection is easy to wash it off. Nobody's going to just get through it. But it's the way that you come into a room. It just lights up the room. You have that energy, that vibe. But I'm sure that he also sensed a bit of that downness as well. And it makes you even more unattractive. Just like, and of course, if maybe has she been so confident? Maybe she should have looked at him and gone, I don't even really like his energy either. He's a bit down. Because really and truly, Tim ain't I'm not saying, I'm not even talking about looks. His energy, it's not that. It's not vivacious, bro. His energy is not bright. His energy is not courageous. His energy is not inviting. It's not anything like that at all. So you may have even looked at him, but when you were at your top of your peak and gone, I don't know. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's also another case of that. So I just don't want him to make. I don't want him to make. I haven't seen enough of Tim to make him a villain. In this situation, and I've seen a lot of the people online have made him into a villain. I'm not making him into a villain. At the end of the day, we know Nick doesn't find it attractive. It's that simple. There's nothing else he can do apart from quit the show and thingy. But I don't think he's waiting for that. I think he's thinking to himself, get to the table, get to the dinner, and see if I can swap. I think I'm going to say I think that's what he's doing. So if he's going to be a villain, that's the reason why he's a villain. But yeah,
I do agree with the assessment that he is going to probably try to get to the dinner to see. But how is your preference going to perceive you once she hears how you've treated Katie? I mean, unless you have another villain lady, this ain't going to happen. I mean, his preference seems to be Jamie, and Jamie's quite happy with the man that she has. So my question is, even if he got to the dinner table, after the ladies hear what he did or how he's behaved, they're going to cross him off entirely, unless they're about the foolishness. But yes, I agree with you. Tim's personality is a wet rag, what we've seen. It isn't vivacious as Katie's personality is. He doesn't need to be, but he just seemed like a what we would call a Debbie Downer. And maybe it's because he did not get the person that he was looking for. He did say he wanted someone who was comfortable in their skin. He did say that. So this is a massive curveball given to him. Not that she's shown him anything that she's not comfortable in her skin, but he did say, hey, I want someone comfortable in their skin. And he did kind of omit that his usual type is petite. Why would they put him with someone who is not his usual type if they weren't looking for drama? But yeah, I agree with what you had said before. I don't think she has the inner self-courage, self-love to really bring that forth so that someone like Tim coming around wouldn't have her crying. Because Katie, I'm sorry, you're crying too much over this man who don't want you. I'm sorry. I know it's about the situation and whatnot, but I need you to dry them tears up, girl, because we heading to the table. There may be a groom that want to swap too, and you could just leave Tim sitting there and you get yourself another groom. But that's just me thinking diabolical. But anything else with Tim and Katie? No? Okay. Next up, they say Athena and Adrian are twins on twins. Athena and Adrian. What are your thoughts on Athena and Adrian? No thoughts?
Mate. Do you know what? You know what it is? It started off so well and it went downhill so quickly. And first and foremost, there were some things that were just happening, which I was just really not even concerned, but just a bit weirded out by. Okay, so first and foremost, she liked him. She found him attractive. She felt like he was gorgeous, right? He's an amazing catch, which is nothing wrong with that at all. She kind of made it like he was almost out of her league, almost in like she was head over heels. But I understand they're twins. It's one of those amazing things, right? So I think attraction was mutual. Now, that was great. That was a great start. Good foundation. They're both twins. It was looking good. Where it went downhill is at the reception, where she failed to tell him that she had a kid. Now, this is what told me there was something deeper with what's her name again? Athena. Is that how you pronounce it?
But yes, Athena. Way. Yes, that's how they say it.
Cool. So Athena, obviously, that was my first alert that you have a problem with rejection, because the first thing that should be coming out your mouth is that I'm so proud to be a mum, which is you keep telling us, but you weren't telling him, which tells me you're not as proud. Not that you're not proud, but you're afraid of rejection. Because there was nothing. If you're very proud about being a mum, fantastic. You tell him that you're a mum. You know what I'm saying to you? It's a take it or leave it. It's a take it or leave it offer on the table. So you know what I'm saying to you. But you waited, and then fair play to her, because a lot of us wouldn't. I would never done this. But fair play to her. The speeches were going, and she pulled him out to have a conversation about it. Fair play to her. She was like, "Look, it shouldn't come from anybody else but me." And I respect that, because that takes a level of balls and a level of courage, and I respected that. It just should have never got there, because we should have had that conversation before then. And I know we're saying, obviously, she was saying, "Oh, I couldn't find an ideal time." The ideal time would have been as soon as you walk down the aisle, you'd have been mentioning, like, I have a daughter, or have a son, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, and blah blah blah. You kind of put it in mentioning in passing. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Because you need to let the person know that you got a kid, because it's going to change things. Because you don't know. And then he made a comment that was kind of weird on the pulpit, which made you alert in the first place. So you're going to have to say it, but you're afraid of being rejected. So then obviously later on, when he obviously tries to make it work, and he does, he's trying, but I think he realizes that to himself, I just want to start a life with somebody who hasn't got a kid. I think the show did them both dirty, because really and truly, unless he's put it on his application, if he's put it on his application, then he has to take a hit. If he hasn't put on his application, the show's done him dirty, because especially for men specifically, becoming a father and it's not your child, that's a very big thing already. It's very different for women and men, I feel like, but I can still understand that women also probably feel the same way too as men. You come into a situation, it's a level of responsibility. So I'm already marrying you, that's one thing. But then to have a kid as well, you're stretching it. You know what I'm saying to you? You're stretching it. So I would love to know if they actually put it on his application that he'd be okay with it, or he wouldn't be okay with it. Because I think they probably would have asked him that. And I'm assuming that, he might have said it, he might have said, yeah, I'm okay with it, and they gave you it. So, we have to look into that. But then I think, obviously, when he tried it, they had a dinner and then a conversation. Now, here's where it got a bit funky, okay? He realized he couldn't do it, okay? He realized he couldn't do it. Number one, don't ever tell someone to smile when you just told them some bad news and it's painful. I thought that was a douchebag move, first and foremost. But number two, also for her too, don't act like your child is a special gift, because he's not going to be a special gift for somebody who's not the father of the kids. When she tried to say to him, she was like, I have to make sure that he's actually good enough for me. I was like, babe, but you were the one that was hiding it. So I don't know why you're now telling us that he has to make sure he's good enough for your child when you were hiding it. So in reality, I said, these two could have been so great, but I don't think they're going to be able to get over this child situation. I think it's going to be a swap situation, but the attraction is there. It is there. The chemistry is there. She was comfortable after day one. He was comfortable after day one. She was lying on him. He had his arm around her. They were doing stretches together. It was so good. And I'm sure maybe for the experts, they're probably saying, this is what we envisaged would have happened. but the child situation. And I think to myself, if you're an expert, don't be a dickhead. You should know that a child is going to change things. It's not going to make it so easy.
I agree with you. They had great chemistry. They understood each other. The twins on twins, they also, Adrian also has a set of twin sisters, who was a second set of twins, bless his family. And she has her twin sister. So they do understand the connection that twins have. So here's the thing, I understand where Adrian is coming from. This is not how Adrian grew up, but it is how Athena grew up. Athena grew up with a stepdad. A stepdad, as she said, she calls dad. So she has lived the life of, my mother married a man, she had us, and he has raised us as his children. She also has step siblings as well. So Adrian's parents are married and have been married and together forever. So Adrian doesn't understand or know what it's like to even witness that in his household. What I will ask is if Adrian has that with any friends. Because you can't be, living in this world and not know a blended family. So I'm wondering if he's coming at it from that standpoint of he hasn't seen it work out too well, or he just hasn't lived that life. Because it is a struggle for anyone. You cannot say if your child would like Adrian. Let's put it out there. She may love Adrian. He may have said all the right things. If he didn't say this, her son could still say, I don't like him. I don't want him to be my dad. It may be, while they're learning each other, they may have trips and falls. So again, there may be a time where you want this honesty from Adrian. I'm glad he said it. I'm glad he's not playing her and playing the whole situation. He's like, this is going to be tough. I don't know. The only thing for Adrian is I'm hoping he doesn't close his mind, because this isn't ideally what he wants. And as he said, I don't know if I can just not show preferential treatment to my own children above your son. That is an honest thing to say for someone who's never been a step parent or dated anyone with children. That is a very honest and very hard thing to say. I appreciate him for his honesty. Even the way he was honest was still gentle about it. He was not being, a fool about it. He was like, I don't know how this can work for me. So again, this is one of the great things about MAFS Australia I do like. People, do have kids. There's a dating world of people with kids, and they can be a part of the experiment and have these open conversation and dialogues. Any other thoughts about Athena and Adrian?
No.
Okay. Next up, Billy and Sierra. What's up with MAFS? There's so many tatted men in Australia. Is that just a cultural thing?
I think that's just their choices of people they like to put in there, boy. It's like the British one. That's how they look. They look no different to the British man.
They do look no different. Go ahead. What, Billy and Sierra?
Yes. So for me, I think I don't. You know what? They start off quite well. There's not enough that's happened yet. But what I would say is, in terms of their backgrounds, I think this has the potential to be amazing or crash and burn. And I'll tell you why. Because of what Sierra has said and what I think she might end up doing. She's afraid of abandonment. She seems very successful. She seems very driven as well and about her business. But what we saw in the very beginning was somebody who is, I don't want to say soppy, but very soft, feminine, all about, like she had a makeup off. She just seemed like she was ready to go. My issue is what happens when fear kicks in, because I think right now she's swimming in good waters because it's the beginning. People putting their best foot forward, mask on, it's going well. But what happens when I feel like her natural tendency to lead, I think she got a bit of that energy as well, it's going to take over because he's a bit of a mummy's boy. So that natural energy, they're inverted right now. What happens if she doesn't feel safe because she knows she's always leading? How is she going to handle that? Does she have the tools and the resources to be able to handle that? Does he have the tools and resources to be able to swing the vote back the other way and be like, you know what? I want to lead. I want to protect you. I want to make sure you feel safe emotionally. I want to make sure that you feel safe physically. I want you to feel like I'm the man in the relationship rather than yourself. How would they handle that moment? That's what I'm afraid of. But before that, it looks like their chemistry is on point. They're not doing anything naughty, but they're just kind of getting to know each other. You know, there's some chemistry that's physical. Yeah, I didn't see them have sex. They said they were cuddling and stuff. Unless they were actually doing something, but they were just cuddling and stuff like that. So it was physical in that instance, but nothing sexual just yet. So they're taking it at a decent pace. But like I said, my thing is, what happens when that moment hits? Does she revert back to, I know exactly what I need to do to make myself safe, and it excludes him? Does he, kind of like want her to play the mummy role when he gets comfortable and want to be babied? That might be a turn off for her. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's something like that. Go for it.
Episode 4, they said they got intimate. That's why I looked on the side. Yeah.
Oh, is it? 4. Okay, I didn't see that.
Yep.
I must have missed. I was on 2 point speed.
She said she saw little Billy. So so Billy, I think I want to see how the dynamic, because it could work. He's used to mama being in charge. His mother seems like a gentle giant. What we did see of her and his other siblings. So he may be okay with a powerhouse woman. That was my first thing. Is he okay with that? But then she may not want to be a powerhouse at home. She may want him to lead. And if he's not used to that, which we saw, I'm not sure. So it will come down to the dynamics of their everyday life and living and how that's going to pan out. But as you said, right now, they have not shown any major red flags. Sierra, it looks like she's ready to go and have fun. But as she said, she said she needed, isn't she the one that said she needed a protector because her dad wasn't around? So I'm wondering if Billy is going to provide the male image, as you said, that she has in her mind as the ideal mate for her. So they are going full steam ahead. They are trusting the experts. They're trusting everything that's happening there. We didn't see much of their reception, so I'm guessing there was nothing there. They just went straight into the honeymoon. But this is another couple I have good hopes for, like Jamie and Dave. But I need to see how they handle conflict. I need to see how they handle everyday life. And I, for some reason, think somebody going to say something to the group and the spouse is not going to like it. I don't know why. I think maybe Sierra may want to keep their relationship, to themselves. And I feel Billy may be a chatty patty and she may not like it. And I wonder how that dynamic may work itself out. But yeah, they're not giving me any huge red flags at all. But we shall see. So next wedding, Jeff and Rye. This is our second couple of guys that they knew each other. They dated for about a month. He has cooked for her. She knew a few of his guests on his side of the aisle. So, this is the question, and a question that I posed. Is MAFS best for people who may have dated in the past and things fizzled out? Things didn't work out. We ghosted or fizzled. And now here we are at the altar. It brings a level to me of comfort. You kind of know the person, you know their lifestyle, you can fit into it, and maybe now they're ready for commitment. What are your thoughts about Jeff and Rye?
Yeah, Rye seemed a bit more happier than Jeff did. So I'm wondering what the story is behind why they actually broke up. Because they said they both agreed and it fizzled out. But why did it fizzle out? Right? Like, what was going on? Did you guys have other partners along the side? I know you guys came from a long-term relationship, both of you, and then you realized after a month it wasn't it. But apparently you guys were macking and dacking and also eating good food. So something happened in that time. But he didn't seem as enthusiastic, which is what was actually throwing me off, because he was the one that was being awkward. And I'm not saying that you won't be awkward. That could actually be a real thing. But it seemed a little bit awkward, just a little bit awkward, almost as if, like he said, that it's platonic at the moment, but then he did say that he's going to try and explore that a little bit more. So I was a little bit hopeful when he made that statement, but it just sounded a little bit like he's not. He's definitely really attractive, because obviously it seemed like he's attractive, but did you see something that you didn't like? Did you see something that you was not compatible with? Like, something's not being told to us about your actual connection in the past. You know what I'm saying? To like, because no reason has been given by either of them really as to why they, apart from the fact we just fizzled out. And if you know anything about people having sex, it don't just fizzle out. This is not a thing where you were just talking and it fizzled out because people were having other partners on the side or other people they were talking to. Y'all were actually macking and dacking. So something happened, which means maybe at the beginning you were never really serious. Maybe you never thought it was going to go anywhere. Maybe you never considered that person. It could have been. But something happened as to why y'all are not together. So I think that needs to be explored first as well, because something's not being told to us. Now, my only issue is now she's 34 and he wants kids too. And I'm sure she wants kids too because she said it as well. So maybe that's in the back of his mind. I don't know. Maybe he thought he would go with someone a bit younger. Maybe he thought about someone about 30s. Maybe he was thinking that. I don't know. But something isn't quite right here. Not necessarily a red flag, but something to explore. So there's a flag that's flying. We just need to explore a bit deeper to find out what's really going on.
I agree with you. Jeff didn't seem as thrilled. She did hesitate. She did stop at the top of the aisle when she saw it was him, but she was a little more open to it than he was. At least we didn't see him say, hey, can I exchange for another bride? But there had to be something, because the way they said it kind of fizzled out. He said, oh, she fit into his life. She went to the gym with him. He's cooked for her. Something happened, as you said, that we just don't know as to why it was even allowed to fizzle. Were there red flags that he saw or she saw that they were like, yeah, I'm going to start backpedaling just a little bit? But they have, mutual friends. So there's a lot. It's very hard to duck and dive from each other when you have mutual friends and you go to the same gym. So we need to know further as to what fizzled this pairing out. I'm like, doesn't seem like we know the full story. Anything else for Jeff and Rye? Okay, next couple. Jake and Ashley. MAFS, I have to say, whoever is doing the photos, y'all did Ashley a disservice. Ashley looks absolutely different in her dress rather than this photo.
They did a dirty. She looking like Fiona before she turned Fiona. I can't even lie to you. They did her dirty.
They really did her dirty on this promo photo. Ashley, you better get them to fix it. But Ashley looked absolutely gorgeous. I think this couple, I didn't see many red flags, unless he is a little more nerdy than she's used to. But she seemed quite open to it. He seemed quite open. He is helping her. He is with her. He's a teacher, I believe. Is he? PE teacher, and she's a dance instructor. And I'm wondering if Jake isn't going to teach Elliot a little something about having a wife that may be a few years older than you, and it's okay. Okay. Because she's, 4 years older than him. That's why I also put the ages there, guys, because we had Elliot discrepancy with age, and I wondered if this would be, maybe something he would think about, but I doubt it. But, hey, I know we talk about MAFS US about broccoli underwear. Now we got the Garfield pajamas. What are your thoughts, Kojo?
I mean, listen, I think they're actually kind of cool. I like the two of them, to be honest. I like their energy and vibe. They both got a teacher background. They love kids as well. I think I think the age can be an issue because a lot of men don't necessarily want to date someone who's older. There is a power dynamic sometimes that tends to take place. But she seems very open and willing, and he seems very willing as well. So I can see this two going a long distance. I haven't seen any real red flags, but we know how a show can turn around in an episode. So but for now, it looks good. And, he seems like a really cool guy. I need to determine whether he's a nice guy or a good guy. Because as we've already seen with Tim, yeah, you know what I'm saying to you? But he seems like a decent dude. Even when the men were meeting up, he didn't say anything wild or anything crazy. Even in his, his own kind of how do I say, cut shots and stuff. So yeah, he seems decent, you know, and Ashley seems like a cool bird too. I didn't hear anything in their background either. You know what I'm saying to you? It's more of a case of two people who just haven't had that much luck. You know what I'm saying to you? But yeah, they seem pretty decent. I won't lie to you. I liked Jake and Ashley, to be honest.
And I'm wondering, since we didn't hear so much about their background, what is in there that the experts are keeping from us?
That's
I'm
fair.
wondering, because usually we would hear about parents, we would hear, something other than just their work and their dating history. I'm thinking it's just something there that I'm just not understanding. Now, we had, I guess you saw the two other weddings. Why don't you tell us about those other weddings?
Yeah, that was Tony, the older gentleman, and Elaine. And they both been married. Well, she's been married before, and he's been married before. She was married 29 years. And she said that her ex-husband was unkind, was the word that she used. And so she's finally got to that stage where at 50s, and she's empowered. She knows herself more. She's got two kids, and she just wants to have a much better life ahead of herself. Tony similarly was in a long marriage as well, but it obviously broke down. He's very emotional about the fact his parents, you know, as well. And so yeah, it was actually a really good wedding, actually, to be fair. They met at the altar and it was very beautiful. That was very beautiful.
Tony, we know it's kind because when we saw the earlier episodes, he was offering tea to the camera, to the cameraman. He was trying to feed the crew. So we know Tony's real kind.
Yeah, so he was comfortable. Yeah, it's just he had a cousin which came out of nowhere who was just asking him questions about saying you normally like a woman that's 10 years younger. And he politely shut him down. His cousin came out of nowhere and was talking to him. And he had to shut him down. He took him aside and shut him down and said, "Hey, bro, look, I'm much older. I'm focused about being in a relationship and a marriage. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff." So, to be fair, he shut him down politely as well. And then obviously there's another couple, which is Ryan and I think it's Jackie. And that one, yeah, Jackie is Elliot's twin. Yeah, everything that Elliot was is what Jackie is. Okay, now there might be a little bit of hope because when he started explaining about how he got bullied, she gave a bit of hope, but she was doing what Elliot was doing. She's trying to tell that man how to be a man. Every little thing. He didn't hold my hand. Well, that's not what a man would do. He didn't offer me a jacket. That's what a man would do. A man would do this. A man would do it. A man would do it. I said, "Oh my god!" So we've got an Elliot 2.0 woman as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. And he's like a professed warrior. Yeah, he's a professed warrior. So he's a professed warrior, so who's lacking self-awareness a little bit. I can't lie to you. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
So basically, not only did he drop his bride, he dropped the ball.
Technically, but not really, because the things that she was the coat situation, yeah, he could have done a bit better. He could have given a coat early. He gave the coat, just it was a little bit late, right? But they were taking photos at the time. That's why. So he didn't ask, is it all right if I ask the photographer, is it all right if I give the coat to her? I think he was thinking that perspective, but he was not lacking awareness. And then obviously at the hand thing was when they were leaving the altar, it wasn't even that long. They just said you can now leave, and they both never left. And then she grabbed his hand. So it was just like, she was like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm the one that's having to do all of this kind of stuff. And that was her biggest fear. Her biggest fear is, I'm going to have to do everything. No man's going to no. She said basically, no man's good enough for her. And basically ended up saying that she wants a man that's blonde. He's a brunette. He's a black-haired man. Yeah, she was disappointed when she came to the altar.
So Jayla's asking about his talk with the producers after the fall. He was panicking.
Talk about the producer after the fall. Which fall? Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a fall. But I missed it because I think I came back in here. So it's towards the end of the episode. There's a little bit of, I think there's a fall or whatever, and her worst fear was falling.
Ooh,
yeah,
he's
so
done.
It's over.
He's done. He's cooked. Done. He's cooked.
He just needs to leave it now.
he needs to call Lauren. Yeah, that Elliot swap needs to happen right now. But if Elliot comes back for dinner. What I will say is I've been watching Married at First Sight Australia for quite a long time. They have had a lot of scandals. They have had cheating scandals. They have had even additional weddings. Now, I think we are at the max at the number of couples we could sustain, even if Elliot leaves. But they usually take these couples and have them attend somebody's wedding like halfway into the season. Are there any couples you think that probably gonna move out real quick, have separate quarters, like it's gonna be real crash and burn real quick?
I mean, crash and burn. I think obviously you got Kate and Tim, right? That's crash and burn. We already know that's really crashed and it's really burned. To be honest, I again, Athena and right and what's his name? His name is what?
Adrian.
Adrian. I think that may crash and burn because I think she's going to try and push more to try and make it work because she's really attracted to him, and he may give in, but eventually his real desire is going to be that he doesn't want to make this work. So that may be an issue. Obviously, we know that Elliot's really crashing and burning. And I think obviously potentially this Ryan and Jackie one will potentially burn as well. So it's gonna be interesting. You know what? Like there's only one or two couples I think are really, really safe. You know what I'm saying? Potentially. So I look forward to seeing what happens next week. And see what happens there because right now it's a crash and burn.
Yeah, I only see about three that that look like I could get behind you just a little bit. Just a little bit. But, MAFS Australia is always a great time. It is always a great season. I think they have like about at least 6 weeks they go on for, unless there's like a, pause in the middle. But it seems like we have a great cast. I don't know where they find folks, but so far it seems to be a great cast. We're going to have a lot of topics to discuss. We do have, of course, parenting is one of those, and I'm totally looking forward to this season. What are your kind of final thoughts, Kojo?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I think I want to definitely see what happens with Athena and Adrian. I definitely want to see what happens also with Jeff as well. And is it Jeff and what's her name? Oh, what's her name? Got out of my head.
Um, Jeff
Yes,
and
Jeff and
Rye.
Rye. Jeff and Rye. I'm hoping that they can make it work. I really do, as well, because they're similar in that respect as well. And I think, yeah, I'm looking forward because right now it hasn't been carnage. It's been what I would say what relationships are like. Sometimes you get with somebody and it's not going to work, right? So right now it's just been really cool. I guess obviously one thing that Australia has marked with is that they always have some level of drama, and because they can swap, I think that's what's always going to cause the issues. But to be fair, people like Elliot's girl, what's her name? Lauren, is it Lauren? And who else? Who else? Definitely Katie. Shouldn't mind too much because to be fair, they need to find someone. Now, Tony, his one, yeah, there's no one his age, so he better stick where he is. But the rest of them, um, you know, uh, I hope the ladies don't. I hope the ladies don't fight over Elliot. He's a douche. I just hope they don't. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, I hope they don't fight over Elliot. He's a douche, and so he might play a lot of them around. I don't know, but it's always the quiet ones that you think is going to play people, and actually he's the quieter one. So you can see Elliot coming. So that's I'm wanting to. I'm seeing, and the ladies have not shown any teeth apart from Jackie at the end. None of the ladies have really shown any teeth yet. And to be fair, Australia, they always have the ladies showing some teeth. So I'm waiting to see who's got the dragon claws later on as well.
Yeah, we're gonna see who's the Queen of Hearts for Australia. Um, Somebody's happy that you're finally watching MAFS Australia. I get y'all. He's finally doing a commentary on it. He's going to be stretched thin for February. As I said, for those of you who just came in, I am going to promise you that I will do weekly lives on MAFS Australia. Maybe one recap a week, but I can't keep up with the everyday thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But thank you all. Thank you, Kojo, for joining me on this the first week's recap and review of the couples that have gotten married on Married at First Sight Australia. I wish for you guys to join me next week. I know it's the Super Bowl here in the US next week. The time and date may change, so please subscribe to my channel, like the lives on both of our channels, and you will know when we do go live and when we do change up if we need to. But thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you on the next one.